leading the league in information, covering the sport from the Grapefruit League this morning. Joel sending this out on X. David Stern said Francisco Lindor being examined tomorrow, that's today, for a stress reaction in his left hamate bone. Might need surgery, 6-week recovery if that is needed, and might be ready for opening day. That's the news we hit you with when we started the program. Let's go right to Joel for the latest on this and the other Mets storyline, Joel, and that's a position change for Juan Soto. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I wish I could have been with you. It's 3 stops on the subway from my house, where my apartment, where it is. It's longer on the A train from Port St. Lucie to where you are. But it's good to join you guys. It's great to have baseball back. Yesterday, David Stearns made news with 2 items. I heard you guys at the top. Juan Soto's moving from right back to left. Keep in mind, there was probably a moment this offseason where the Mets thought they were going to get Kyle Tucker, who would have then played right field. So there's a move that would have been made. Soto's been working out and left all offseason because Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to play right field on the Dominican Republic team in the WBC. This is not strange for Soto. He was the left fielder on the champion Nationals in 19, and he was the left fielder with Tatis in right in 2023. So I think this is generally low impact. As far as a move, it's just in the context of they've got a lot of people doing new things this year, right? Bichette at third, Polanco at first, Brett Beatty is taking on first in the corner outfield, which he's never done. So it's just part of an overall narrative. The more concerning one is Lindor. They're going to find out today if he needs surgery. I'd be surprised if he didn't, just because this has been a multi-year problem for him with his left wrist area, left hamate area. And so, the Mets do not have great depth at shortstop. The obvious guy to be the backup would have been Luis Angel Acuna, who's a very good defender. He got traded for Luis Robert. So they probably would need to look for somebody this spring, perhaps, if this was going to be longer. But David Stearns over and over said he thought that this would be a 6-week from procedure to ready to play in the major leagues. Paul Skeens is on the docket in 6 weeks, March 26th, Citi Field. And it sounded like David Stearns believes Lindor will come back. The one concern is, Harold knows this, sometimes power is the last thing to come back after this surgery. Mets let their all-time home run hitter, Pete Alonso, walk out the door. Lindor has been a 30-homer hitter consistently. So you wonder about some loss of power if and when Lindor comes back.
Hey, Joel, quick question. Does this come up? We heard a lot about Lindor with the physical and not being able to have the insurance for WBC. Does that come up in maybe the discussions of maybe while he's doing a physical and now you find this injury? Because it's kind of strange that it's happening now.
I don't think this was the WBC issue. This, again, Harold, this has been something, you think of Lindor as kind of Mr. Smiles and a fashion guy. This is one of the toughest players in the major leagues. He played with a broken toe for a long period. Over the last 4 years, Matt Olson and Pete Alonso are the only guys who are first basemen, who are the only guys who've played more games than Lindor. He's been toughing it out with this pain in his hand, and I think it just reached the point where they have to deal with it. Again, there is not a definitive statement yet by the Mets that he needs surgery, but it sure sounded like that's where he was heading.
Joel, I want to get you to what you've written on Post Sports Plus. That is ranking the 50 most interesting people, not just players, in the sport at the start of spring training. And the guy pictured on the front of the column right there, Tarek Skubal, is number 1 on your list. Why?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I've done this for over 10 years, for about 15, 16 years, where I'll do this. It's a good exercise to just think about, like, who are the different people in the sports who have, like, influence, power, interest, drama, etc. I think Skubal has all of it. Number 1, he already won a landmark case in arbitration, getting $32 million, the most ever. If the arbitration system is around the next CBA, that could have a lot of influence for other players who go through arbitration and try to use the path he used to make a lot more money. You guys are wearing your WBC stuff. He's going to be the ace on the WBC. I assume if the U.S. gets to a championship game, our colleague and friend Mark DeRosa has probably earmarked Skubal to pitch the final game. I would assume it would be him or Skeens, and I think Skubal would probably be number 1 on that list. Then the season's going to begin, and he's going to try to do something this year that's only been done twice in Major League history by Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson, who did 4 straight Cy Youngs. He's going to try to do 3 straight. By the way, 3 straight isn't that common. He now is teammates with Justin Verlander, who's one of the rare guys who's done it. If the Tigers were to fall out of it, he would be the guy who probably would get one of the biggest trade hauls in history in July. I don't think they're going to fall out of it. I think they're trying to make the playoffs for the 3rd straight time, win their division for the first time since 2014. And by the way, he'd be the key. They haven't won a World Series since 1984. He'd be the obvious key. And then when it's all said and done, and if and when negotiations begin in the offseason, I expect him to become the highest paid pitcher ever. Most money per year, most money overall. He is the most interesting man in the world, at least the baseball world.
That's interesting you bring that up. I got another guy that would probably be battling him for the ball in the WBC, and that's Gerrit Cole. But Gerrit Cole's not on the WBC, coming back from injury. He's number 10 on your list. Tell us why.
Yeah, you know, there's when he last seen pitching Game 5 of the World Series in 2024, he was one of the 5 or 10 best pitchers in the world. The Yankees lived without him all of last year. They're hoping by late May, early June, he's back in a rotation that is refortified with him. And as good as the Yankee offense was last year, they led the league in runs. And as good as they think it is this year, I think their pathway to greatness, there's an upside for this rotation with if Cole comes back, Rodon about May 1st, Max Fried, what we saw of Cam Schlittler last year. If Luis Gil looks like 2024 AL Rookie of the Year, I think they're very excited about Ryan Weathers. But at the middle of all of this is Cole. Does Cole come back and look like Alcantara last year, for example, who came back and made all the starts but wasn't old Sandy Alcantara? Or does he look a lot like Gerrit Cole? If he looks a lot like Gerrit Cole, Yankees got a good chance in the AL East, the AL, and maybe overall.
So, Joel, I thought your number 1 guy, at least for me, I thought interesting-wise, is your number 12, and that's Tony Vitello, because he is probably, in my memory, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, first college coach I've ever seen jump straight to the major leagues and manage. So that is a story in itself. Why is he 12 and not higher?
You said it, Harold. He's the first person to ever do this without any previous pro experience. You know, he was the longtime coach at Tennessee. They won the national championship in 2024. And I would dare say the first time we heard his name in the offseason associated with this job, it was a little bit of wow. And then Buster Posey had the power of his convictions. He thought this was the right guy. And I just think it's fascinating because if he succeeds and the Giants are really good under him, it's going to open a whole pathway of other guys to potentially do this. If he were to fall on his face and like, you know, this is some Steve Spurrier kind of thing, I think it might close that pathway at least for a little while. So I think there's some pressure on Tony Vitello to prove that this is what was a good move. And is he a pioneer for others or is he a roadblock?
Joel, we have some breaking news here, and we want to plan to get deeper into your list. Again, you can read about this on Post Sports Plus, but more breaking news. I can't believe what I'm about to say. Another broken hamate bone? This is an epidemic in the last 24 hours. This from Steve Gilbert of MLB.com. Corbin Carroll, broken hamate bone during a live BP session yesterday. Will miss significant time this spring. We've got Torey Lovello coming on the show a little bit later on this morning. Did not plan on asking him about this. This is breaking right now. I can't believe what we're talking about here, Joel. That's 3 significant hamate bone injuries in the span of 24 hours.
You know, I'll bow to Harold on this, who I know I was listening, I was on hold before this, about the frequency of swing and how often guys are doing it. You know, when we saw oblique injuries go crazy a few years ago, and you start to do why is this the case all of a sudden? This is not an injury we heard a lot about in 1974, 1994, whatever. And when once is 2 is a coincidence, 3 makes you wonder about frequency of hitting, how much guys might be hitting in the off season, for example, and the style and force with which they're doing it and how they're using their hands to do it. I am certainly far from an expert on this. I would, like I heard what Harold was saying, but the fact that we've had 3 of these already, it would make me wonder about, are guys just guys used to come to spring training to get ready to play a major league season. I've been in the Met clubhouse for a few days. Those guys are ready to play a major league season. I mean, obviously, they're not as sharp as they would, but it's a different world from when I first started doing this in the 1980s and 1990s. What shape? Most of these guys have been using the facility since December, January, early February, and they're in a different kind of shape. The question is, they can do it. Should they do it? Are we kind of overdoing it at this point?
Yeah, no, Joel, I mean, first thing that comes to mind for me for Corbin Carroll, he's going to miss the WBC, so there'll clearly be an announcement on a replacement. But I said this earlier, and I mean it because I'm living it in this youth baseball cycle that we're in, whether it's baseball or softball, this extension drill that everybody's teaching kids, basically a check swing, where you're swinging as hard as you can to stop a bat. And if you're doing that, you're forcing all that force onto your wrists and your hands that are not ready. And my daughter got injured for 8 weeks doing a drill at a camp she went to, and I shut that junk down. I'm telling you, I'm looking at Holiday's swing. He used to be a guy that finished all the way through. Now he's two-hand stopping. It's a lot of this things going on. I can't speak for Corbin Carroll. I can't speak for Lindor. I haven't looked at their videos. But I just think it's something that needs to be pointed out, and I have no problem pointing it out. None at all.
What a terrible day for news, for injury news. Go ahead, Joel. Go ahead.
Just what I was going to say is, I think I don't want to talk for you guys, but I think when you do what we do, one of the great things about spring training is baseball again. I think we all love the sport. It's a renewal. It's warm weather. You get to see guys all over again like I did. But these 6 weeks are a bracing period. We got deep enough into my list to talk about Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole was a announcement in early March. Hey, he's going to see, Dr. Elatrash. And, you just think the worst. If you ask anybody in charge of a baseball operations what they think every day, they look at their medical chart and they just pray it's empty, or at least empty of serious stuff every day. And you at least get to the start line with your team in total. And already we're seeing some teams who might not be getting there with star level players. And that's just sad. We want to see the best players play as much as possible. I feel bad for Corbin Carroll, who I'm sure had his heart set on playing in the WBC. I'm sure Mark DeRosa had thoughts about how much he was going to use them. So we want to see the best players get through. Part of the 6 weeks is this is a churn on the body, the beginning of it, and we're going to lose players. And this is a terrible opening, what we're seeing with these 3 guys.
Yeah, and they're not wasting any time. Jeff Passan has this on X, the fact that surgery's happening right now. I mean, they're not wasting any time here on Corbin Carroll. Joel, thank you very much. We appreciate the time.